Good afternoon and good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of The Big Debate. My name is Terence Agbo. I will be your moderator today. And here with me in the studio, I have two very brilliant and scintillating guests, Miss Amabo Cecilia and Miss Delphine Mbole. So the topic of our debate today is, should schools resume effectively in the southwest and northwest regions of Cameroon? We know that for over 2.5 to 3 years today, schools have not been going on effectively because of the war and the crisis going on in that part of Cameroon. So today we are going to discuss with each other, have an educative talk to answer a few questions. So both of our guests today are no strangers to you both, but just in case, and for you people, for those who are tuning in for the first time, Ms. Amabo Cecilia holds a master's degree in human rights and democratization. She's holder of a postgraduate diploma as well in public law and a bachelor degree in English common law. She's also a spokesperson for the AGC and head of the Human Rights and Humanitarian Affairs Department of AGC. And for those of you who don't know what AGC stands for, it's the Ambazonia Governing Council. And overall, she's also a human rights advocate. Mbole Nane, on her part, she's a leadership and diversity coach, a facilitator and a human rights activist. She's very passionate and involved in the fight against the fight for gender equality and rights of children. As a mother herself, Mbole says the world owes it to a child to protect and guard it, to do everything possible for its development. And for its development and advancement in society. She's currently volunteering for an organization that sees in the reintegration of refugee children, especially from war-torn countries, into the German educational system. She also insists education is a fundamental human right, and as a member of the society, needs to do everything in her powers to protect these rights. So, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the big debate. Before we start, I have a few words for you, the audience. Good evening once more, and I do expect this debate to be very exciting, to be thrilling, and overall educative and scintillating. Our objective is to engage you, the audience, as well as learn a thing or two from our two very, very able contestants. We are looking from one subject, the importance of education and school in the southwest and northwest regions of Cameroon from different perspectives. Recall that this is a debate. It is not a floor for making policies, so none of us is going to be making policies. As such, we therefore demand respect, especially for our two guests who have devoted their time preparing for this debate. Give them up. We expect absolute respect from you. We also expect the audience to respect each other during their interactions. We therefore and totally discourage any forms of insults, abuse, and name calling during our broadcast as well as on our page. Welcome once more, and the big debate is about to start. Ladies and gentlemen, you are on for it. So what I will be doing here is mainly asking the questions. And these two beautiful and very brilliant ladies will be answering the questions. So I'm in a very, very good seat. I will just be doing the questions and people will be talking. Good evening again. And we'll be starting with Mbole. So Mbole, the question is, should schools resume in the southwest and northwest regions of Cameroon?
Good evening, Terence. Good evening, Cecilia. Thank you for having me on the show today to talk about schools resuming in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. One thing we have to know, education is a basic right for every child. This is clearly defined in Article 28 of the UN Convention for the Rights of a Child to Education. If we stop our children from going to school, we are stopping them. We are stopping them getting a future for themselves. We are stopping their basic rights. We know how important education is for children. We have seen how the international community engages when it has to do with children and their education. In Cameroon, recently, 78 kids were kidnapped from schools. We don't know who kidnapped them, but we saw how the world got up and tried to do everything to create awareness and see that these children were released. We have this case of Malala, who was shot in the head in Pakistan because she dared to go to school. She dared to see that her rights to education is seen through. We saw the case of the Chibok girls who were kidnapped when they were in school. The world will frown on anyone who refuses a child or their rights to education. The children will frown on anyone who refuses them their right to education. Education is important. The UN is advocating, even in conflict societies, even in conflict areas, that schools be made safe. Schools be made a safe environment for children. Now, forgetting about the fact that we go to school to learn and pass exams, there are other components that makes school important for kids. Children go to school not only to pass exams, they go to school to develop their social competencies in society. When children are in school, they are with their peers. Being with their peers, it helps them to develop their confidence. It helps them to develop, to work with other people, develop their capabilities in working in a team, which are skills that they will need in future in their lives. Going to school, or schools are also used as medium for health awareness. Hospitals, vaccinations are usually given to children through schools. Health authorities contact parents and give children this basic health care through their attendance in schools. Now we have stopped children from going to school. If there is a vaccine that are supposed, how do the children get access to this basic health care? How do they get access to these vaccinations? Cecilia is gone.
No, I can hear you. Are you done? You still
No,
have,
I'm not done. I'm not seeing Cecilia. I don't know if she's there.
no, she's here. You still had a
Okay.
minute.
Cecilia is very much
Good.
present.
Yeah, you still had a minute.
Okay. Schools, especially in conflict areas, are seen as a safe haven for children. This is a place where they also can go and learn tactics on how to protect themselves in case of harm. Schools are also, stopping schools also affect our economy. Now, when we talk about the present economy, we realize in schools, we have a lot of private schools that provide food for families. These are businesses. Stopping schools is killing business in our society. Now, what happens? Our children are going to schools in the Francophone speaking region of La République, getting an education that we say is it's inferior to our education system. And we are not only taking this inferior education system, we are paying double the price for it that we would have paid for our superior education. So who is losing? We are losing. Let's leave our children go to school. Let's give them their basic human rights of education, and let's keep them having the quality education that we think is best for them. If we say it is not safe for them, we can make the environment safe for these children to attain their education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mole. So Cecilia, I'm going to ask you the same question. So the question is, should schools resume in the southwest and northwest regions of Cameroon?
Thank you very much, Terence, and thank you very much.
Cecilia is gone.
She's right here.
I can't hear her.
Maybe if you listen.
Is she speaking?
Yeah, she's speaking. Yeah, she's actually speaking. Okay, Cecilia, just hold on 1 second. Can you try to get out and come back again, Bole, please?
Okay.
Sorry for that inconvenience, Cecilia. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. She needs to hear me and she needs to see me.
Yep.
Yeah. Just apologize to the audience for that.
Okay.
Okay.
Mbole, can you see Cecilia now?
I see Cecilia now.
Okay, yeah. So please, for you guys watching the debate out there, we sincerely apologize for that technical hitch. You know, we don't make this technology, so sometimes we do experience some hiccups. And so shout out to everyone watching the debate. We've heard Mbole give her reasons why she thinks school should resume immediately. Now, Cecilia, our other contestant, is going to answer the same question. So, should schools resume in the southwest and northwest regions of Cameroon? Cecilia.
Like I said earlier, thank you very much, Mr. Terence, and thank you, Mbole, for your points why you think that schools should resume in Southern Cameroons. I am sorry, I would like to use the word Southern Cameroons or Ambazonia each time I'm talking. So you're free to use Northwest and Southwest regions, but I will maintain that fact. Now, I stand for the fact that it is not right at this point in time in Southern Cameroons for schools to resume. And the reasons I have behind this assertion are many. First of all, we are in a state of war. If you don't know, Southern Cameroon is plunged in war right now. It is not appropriate for any leader or for any person who has the interest of the child at heart to encourage any child to go back to school now. Furthermore, our schools, we don't have school buildings. Our schools have been raised down in the northwest and southwest regions, as you put it. But like I said, schools in Southern Cameroons have been raised down by the occupying forces of La République du Cameroon in Ambazonia. We have about 800 internally displaced persons. Made up, half of that population is made up of kids, which are children of school-going ages. They are all hiding in bushes, and there are no schools. They are not building there for them to attend schools. And again, we have a total number of more than 200,000 refugees in Nigeria, made up of school-going children, which therefore means that we cannot sit back and promote education in Ambazonia at this time when almost half of the population, they are hiding in the bushes trying to survive, and others are refugees in foreign countries. Our schools have been raised down, the educational system itself, it's flawed, and we cannot for this time say children should go back to school. Most of all, the insecurity in Southern Cameroons does not warrant schools to resume at this point in time. I am happy that the other panelists mentioned the United Nations Convention on the Right of the Child of 1989. I am particularly happy because she said every child has a right to education. I want to tell you that the core principle, the four core principles of the International Convention on the Right of the Child, they are non-discrimination, right to life, survival and development of the child, and respect of that child's dignity. which all boils down to what the Convention on the Rights of the Child tackles. The main principle of that convention talks about the best interest of the child. At this point in time, it is very wrong for any parent or for us to sit and advocate for school resumptions when the atmosphere is so unsecured for these children to be in school. I am particularly happy because she mentioned the fact that in the last weeks, about 80-something children were abducted from school. That is what I am talking about. How do you, as a parent, sit back home and send your child to school when you're not sure of the security of that child? Do you know the pain that parents went through within that 24 hours or 72 hours that those children were taken away from schools? How do you talk about school resumptions when the guys who are fighting on ground zero are basically make up about 75% of those who are trying to fight for the integrity of Ambazonia are students? If you are encouraging or advocating for school resumption, how can you justify that the people who are fighting to make sure that your parents are alive are in bushes, and you want those who have safe homes, those whose homes have not been razed down, to conveniently go to school? And when we talk about education, does going to sit in the classroom guarantees education? Is education acquired only in the classroom? So these are some of the reasons I think it is wrong at this point in time in Southern Cameroons for schools to resume. The insecurity is the paramount thing that we must look at. Children cannot go and sit in classrooms and military officers are surrounding their buildings in the name of protection. No child studies under such conditions.
You have 30 more seconds.
No child will study perfectly under such conditions. That is tension. The child, psychologically, that child is not ready to sit in that classroom. Psychologically, the teacher cannot teach well because he is surrounded by military men with guns. Nobody studies in such conditions and studies well. Education is not just about going to and sitting in the classroom. We can acquire education. More than 75% of education is acquired at home. Okay. So I stand strongly that at this point we cannot accept schools to resume. Thank you.
Yeah, we will have to move on. So I believe your point has gone across. So in this second part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for either of you to respond to each other. So Mbole will respond to you, and then after she finishes speaking, you will also respond to her before we move to the next question. Okay. So Mbole, you have 2 to 3 minutes to respond to what Cecilia just said.
So yeah, thank you, and thank you, Cecilia, for your point. Now you said we are in a state of war and it's not appropriate and safe for children to go to school. Now I want to remind you that the call for children to go to school happened even way before the military came to our regions. We didn't stop children from going to school because the armed forces of the government are there. We stopped children from going to school way before, when the consortium of teachers and lawyers started their strikes. We stopped our children from going to school. The military, we are the ones that invited the military in our place by stopping children from going to school. The military, why are the military there? Why are the military there? The military are there with the reason that they want to protect children to go to school. So if we want that military to go away, if we say today that schools should resume, schools should reopen, those military will leave. They are there because children are not going to school because they're fighting, they're afraid of the military. They are fighting because of the Ambazonia forces that has called for the close of schools. We have seen children's life being put at risk. Teachers have been kidnapped. Teachers have been killed because they dare to go to teach. Children want to go to school. Parents want their children to go to school. Parents have nothing. They don't know what to do with these children. I'm happy that you mentioned going to school is not only in buildings. In our micro society, in our micro quartiers, we can have children going to school. If the interim government is really interested in children going to school, they will make safe environments for these children to go to school. We have had our quartiers where when it is attacked by armed robbers, in the quartier, we organized forces to protect this environment. Why can't we have forces to protect children, even if it means they are learning? We are in Africa. We have seen children learning under trees. These children can learn in churches. We have churches. Has the interim government done anything?
You have 30 seconds.
That children go to school. Who is supposed to make the children safe? Is it us or the government? The children are our responsibility. If we don't want them to go to school because the school is surrounded by the military, then let's look for other means for them to get their quality education. You said 75% of fighting students, of Amber soldiers are children. 75. That is scary. I am a mother. I've seen what war has done to children, child soldiers. I've seen 12-year-old boys in the Amber forces holding guns. Do you know the trauma that these children will go through? And that's what happens when we keep children away from school. Okay. We make them liable to become soldiers. We have seen it in Rwanda. We have seen it in the Democratic Republic of Congo. No parent wants that for their child. And I think no responsible society will want that for their children. Let the children go to school and keep them safe.
Thank you very, very much, Mbole. So you've done your 3 minutes. So Cecilia, you have your own 3 minutes. Today, I'm making sure that everyone has equal time. So I'm actually, I'm using a stopwatch.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Terence, and thank you, Mbole, for that. And first of all, let me correct something. I said 75% of the fighters are students. I didn't say children. There's a difference between children and those that are fighting for Ambazonia. And now, going back to your points that you raised, that military occupied Ambazonia because of the days of consortium, that teachers called on school boycotts. No, let's not misconstrue things. When the teachers came out to talk about school boycott, teachers didn't invite the military. What was the reason why the teachers called for school boycott? Why did teachers call for school boycott? Was it because there were no schools? Absolutely not. It was because the educational system to the teachers was no longer of standard. It was substandard. It was the educational system has been flawed by the infiltration of French educational system in the Anglo-Saxon cultural educational system that we inherited from the British. That is where the problem was. And the teachers, when the teachers came out, and I want to remind you that when the teachers came out and hit the street, they came out with peace plans. They came out willing to sit on the table and dialogue with the government so that these institutions could be, so that the problems that were within the institution could be rectified, so that the infiltration of the English educational system could be stopped. But what did they receive? Those that went out to protest with peace plan were met with live bullets. You could see helicopters flying in the air and shooting them. They did not invite the military in their territory. It is not because schools are not going on that the military is occupying Southern Cameroon. I am surprised to hear that you as a Southern Cameroonians would tell somebody that the military is occupying Ambazonia because of schools. That is completely wrong and is unacceptable on my part. Military entered Ambazonia not because of schools. When teachers came out, military came and started killing. Don't forget, people went out with sticks. People went out with peace plans, and military started killing systematically and indiscriminately. And the same students we are talking about were brutally raped by the same military. by the same military. How can you talk about military coming to protect students and the same military are raping the students? How can you talk about military coming to protect the school institutions, and yet the same military are the ones raising down this institution? They are arsonists, and that is what they are. And it is not because schools were not going on in Ambazonia that they came to protect children to go to school. It is wrong for any child to sit in any classroom.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, 3 minutes.
Yeah,
3 minutes are up.
Terrence, I need to make a review.
I'm not sure I actually exhausted 3 minutes.
I can show you. I'm using a timer today. You actually use more than 3 minutes.
Okay, great.
You use
Great.
2 minutes 57 seconds. You use 3 minutes 2 seconds today.
Okay.
Yeah, so you use 4 extra seconds. I will save that for next time for her. Okay, so before we continue, I will let you respond.
I need a rebuter.
Yeah. I will let you respond. You guys will go, and then she will also respond so that you guys talk. So I would like to make some clarification. Cecilia, I'm very happy you made that comment that the military are not in the Southwest and Northwest regions because of the school thing. I would also like to make it clear here.
And I didn't say that.
Yeah, you actually said that. I wrote it down.
I said the military, because she said the military are occupying their school. I said the military came to the schools, not the Northwest and South. The military came to the schools with the excuse that they want to protect the children. That is what I said. There's a difference.
Yeah, either way, we don't know if the militaries are in school, and I don't think that is why they came to the school. And then another thing I will have to say here is that Cecilia also mentioned that the military are those burning down schools. We don't know those who are burning down schools, so that information.
No, I will not. I will not take back that because I am saying that for a fact.
No, that information is inaccurate because there are counter accusations. So some people say it's the military, some people say it's some of the fighters. So I wouldn't accept information which has not been fully vetted. So Mbole, now it's your turn. You respond to Cecilia's rebuttal, and then she will also respond to yours, and then we'll move on to the next question.
Good. I said something that I found very interesting. That
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yes, I'll set the timer.
Exactly. That our education system is flawed, and that's why the teachers went on strike. True. And now, I don't refuse that our education system is flawed, but should we stop our education system because it is flawed? That is the same education that I had, and I am where I am today because of that education. And I'm sure it's the same education you had, is the same education Terrence had. Of course, there is room for changes. There's a need for reforms. It doesn't mean we have to stop it completely. Now, what I want to ask you, you are the spokesperson of one of the Ambazonian groups. What is the situation? What does the teachers say? Because I know the teachers want to go back to school. They want to teach. They were going to school, teaching, they were feeding their families. They want to go back to school. Have you consulted the teachers union? What is the take right now? Has the interim government insisting that schools should not go to school?
So we lost Mbole there. I don't know what happened. I will try.
No, Mbole is live. She is live and I can see her.
Can you hear her? Because I can't hear her.
I hear her clearly. I think the person that will be signing out and coming back will be you this time around, not Mbole anymore. Because I can see her well and I can hear her clearly.
If I can't hear her, then I can't moderate the show anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So
I can hear you and I can hear Terrence.
Mbole, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
But can you see him, Mbole?
I can't see her. She just went off. I don't know what happened.
I'm here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are very sorry for that technical hitch. we lost Mbole there. I will let her leave and come back and make her points again. So we sincerely apologize for that little inconvenience. Please bear with us for a moment. Sorry, Cecilia, for that. It's not my fault.
No.
It's technology.
Of course.
Okay, she's here. Okay. Okay, Mbole, can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, sorry, we lost you when you started. I don't know where you were before you stopped, so I will probably give you back your 2 minutes so you can start from the beginning. Cecilia, she's barely going to say, I'll save your time. I'll give you your time. Okay.
No, don't worry. Let her take your time. Let her
Go,
keep her point.
Okay.
Very important.
Okay. So, Mboli, you can go ahead and respond.
All right. So I was asking Cecilia that who decides if the flawed system in the education has not been solved? Is it the interim government? Is it the Ambazonian fighters, or is it the social and teachers union? I want to know, as a spokesperson, have you talked to the teachers union? Are they still not certified? Are they still okay with being on strike? What is their position? Because I've talked to a lot of teachers and I know they want to go back to school. They want to go back to teaching. So I think that's very important that the interim government communicates with the teachers union and put out this communique out there for us to see. The same, like I said, the same education that you said is flawed is the same education that got all of us here. It is flawed, yes, but it shouldn't be a reason to stop kids from not going to school. Now you have stopped kids from not going to school. What's happening? They are migrating to La République. The people who have money, they are sending their children to the inferior education in La République, pay more money for it. The poor people are the ones suffering. The rural areas in our countries are the ones suffering because they cannot afford to send their children to schools out of the Northwest and Southwest region.
Okay, so
Mboli, who are we destroying? We are destroying the future of our children.
Mboli, your time is up, and thank you very, very much for that. Cecilia, I know you have something you have to respond as well. So
definitely, she has spoken, and I definitely.
Yeah, you will respond. So she took 2 minutes, and then you respond, and then we'll move to the next question. Okay, so your turn.
Okay, great. Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Mbole. And I want to make it clear to you that the situation has changed. I must tell you that. Don't forget that when Bala and Co were arrested and people protested, when it first started, it was all about like teachers and lawyers situation. It turned into issues of federation, and finally we are at the level of total independence. And if you're asking me if the teachers say they want to go back to school, I am a little bit surprised, because we must be talking to many different teachers. And if the teachers want to go back to school, did you ask the question if why they hit the streets in the first place, the problem has been solved? Is the reason why Pastor is in set today? Why Pastor is in set today? Has that problem been solved? And you're talking about the same education that you and I went through. What did we actually achieve from that educational system we're talking about? We sent out, how many graduates do we have? If you must know, Cameroon is the highest literate country in the entire African continent. And you ask yourself, these people who are so literate, what are they doing with their literacy? How is their economic system? How are they using the education that they so claim? It is not about getting certificates or papers or sitting in the classroom and coming out to say, I went there, I graduated. No, it's not like that. You have the University of Boya, you have students go to chemistry department, and they are unable. Ambazonia is plunged in war, and the same graduate of that university, they are unable to produce even an explosive to help save Ambazonia. And you talk about education in Southern Cameroons. What education? And if you're here today talking boldly and being the way you are, I can promise you it's not the education you got from that country. It is because you have traveled and you have gotten a standard education.
Yeah, you exhausted your 2 minutes. So thank you so much. Okay, you have to move on to the next question. So earlier in the week, I put on a couple of posts asking people to send questions. So we have 2 sets of questions from the audience. So the questions that were submitted before the show and questions that are submitted as we speak. So the next question I'm going to ask you is a question that was submitted before today's show. And so the question you have your own question. So this question is going to Cecilia. So she will have 3 to 4 minutes to answer. So you consider that currently there is a fight of there is a war or a war of independence, and history has it that most wars of independence last for approximately a decade and sometimes more. The Anglophone crisis officially did not start as war. The Anglophone crisis, officially not a war, has seen both Anglophone regions experience extensive setbacks. If this continues through another 7 years of Biya regime, would you maintain your advocacy of no schools? Cecilia.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Let me say that when we are saying we don't want schools to resume for now, it's because of the intensity of insecurity in Southern Cameroons. And we are not against school, bear in mind, we are not against school. And once it is, we have already said that once we are able to capture and hold territory, schools will resume in those areas with an educational curriculum that will be that of Ambazonia, that will be that of our cultural heritage, that will be the educational system that we inherited, that will build people to come out and be self-reliant and not people that will come out and depend on nothing but the government. We want people that will come and develop the economy of Ambazonia. We are not saying that if this continues for the next 20 years, we are going to keep our children off school. No, that is not going to happen. Even at this point, we are not saying that children should. People are able to go to churches in the camp. We have encouraged that when you have this opportunity, let us teach children the basic skills that they need, the basic ABC, the 1, 2, 3, and all those things, songs and all those things. We are not saying that school should not go resume, but we want a school that will resume with a new school curriculum and in safe places where children, you will not sit at home, you hear gunshot and you are trembling because you're not sure if your child is alive or not. When a territory is captured, we are going to open schools in those territories. When we capture and hold that territory, they will allow children to go to school. Look, we understand there is a right to life. A child has to be alive in order to attend school. We also understand that the fundamental right of a child is also a right. That child is not just a victim, but a right holder, which means that child's right to education is very important. But you will not have that right of education will not be fulfilled if that child is not alive. The right to life gives the child the opportunity to fulfill any other right that child has. So we are not saying completely that there will never be schools in Ambazonia if this war will go on for 20 years. No, definitely we're going to capture territories, and within those territories, there will be schools that will be open. They are working on an educational curriculum for Ambazonia, and once this is done, children will be given the opportunity to be in those safe places and go to school. We are not completely saying that we will never allow school to go on. That is wrong, and that will be violating the child's right. Right.
Thank you very much. It seems as if whoever sent this may have envisaged your response. The question they ask is that you encourage students to children to probably study at home, and like you rightly mentioned here, that also there might be a design of a curriculum. So for 3 years now, schools have not been going on. How long is it going to take you to design your own curriculum that you think that is going to be the most efficient one?
Thank you very much. Educational experts are currently working on that. They have done something before and they're currently developing on that. That is for sure, I can tell that person. The problem is not about the educational curriculum for now. The problem is about the safety of the children. You cannot, if we go and build up schools within Ambazonia at this point in time, children go and gather, you gather about 400 children and put them somewhere that you want to teach them. And then armed men come and kidnap these children, or they start shooting. You're struggling to protect that child's life, and you're struggling to defend your own self and to make sure that the place is safe. How can you handle this? That is what we are saying, that experts are working on this. Once this is done and we are able to fight and hold territory, a place that you can allow children to work, to sit together and study, they will be using this that has been prepared for them, an Ambazonian curriculum, and that is how we are going to move until we capture the entire territory. But for now, there is no place we can boldly or say that we have captured and hold it. No, you capture a territory today, but tomorrow they overshadow you and they recapture it. So we cannot risk that. You cannot risk the child's life.
Would you have a timeline for when such a curriculum will be, even if schools are not going on, if people can have a look at that curriculum? Would you have any idea?
I will not give a particular timeline, but what I can say for sure is that the likes of Dr. Lees are working on that. They have already developed something and they are still developing it as of now. I don't have any particular timeline because I'm not in that committee that is developing that curriculum.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So Mbole, the next question is for you. That your focus is on your focus on school resumption based on the quantity of education or the quality of education? Since we all know, I mean, this individual says we know. I'm not the one saying, I'm reading the question. Okay, since we all know in recent years the Anglo-Saxon system of education has been watered down, and assuming that the whole protest, the genesis of the no school started when teachers started protesting about the quality of education. So is your focus based on quantity or quality?
My focus is based on the basic human right of a child to education. Like we already said, there are flaws in our educational system. No one is arguing that. I am not arguing it, but we can improve it. But while children are still in school, half education is better than no education at all. We don't want to raise an illiterate society. We know the consequences of that. So let the children go to school, and while they are at school, we can be working on improving this education. Cecilia here cannot even tell us a timeline of when the curriculum is out. We are 2 years into these problems in the Southern Cameroon. Call it war, call it civil disobedience, call it whatever you want to call it. It is 2 years and above. They have not yet come up with a curriculum. Let the children go to school with what we have now, and we work on that, improve it, and see how the future goes. But they need to go back to school. They need something. They need an education.
Okay, thank you very much.
Social competence that schools bring with it.
Okay, so Mbole, the next question is for you. Again, Cecilia, you also have your own question, so I'm calculating the time as well. So some people argue that for some of the children you are advocating for them to go to school, their parents have been jailed. Some parents have been killed. Some of the students are actually in jail, both students and pupils. Some are actually in jail. Some have died. Like when the protest started in Bamenda, we understand a university student was shot down. So how, what would you say to these individuals?
Well, what can I say to the individuals? I'm sorry it happened to them, but that shouldn't be a reason to stop kids from going to school. It shouldn't be a reason. I shouldn't pay the price for your mistakes. You shouldn't pay the price for my mistakes. Stopping children from going to school is it's another kind of oppression. Refusing them their right to education is another kind of oppression. So we're basically doing what the regime we're fighting against is doing. We are living with a dictatorship. We need change in Cameroon. We know that. We know the regime has not been fair in handling the crisis in the southern and northern regions. We know they have done terrible things. Yes. But stopping children from going to school, we are not better.
Okay. Thank you very much. So the next question is to you again, Cecilia. I will come to you. So this question is about the recent happenings and the loss of autonomy of the GCE board. Sorry. So close to the heart of Anglophones is the GCE board. Formerly, it was autonomous, but more recently, apparently, it's been taken over by the government. Do you think the government is helping the situation, especially as the autonomy of the GCE board has been lost? And given that the entire protest started as a result of the loss of autonomy of the Anglophone Cameroonians to control their own educational system. So, Mbole, that's to you.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was to Cecilia.
No,
Can you repeat?
You are the pro.
Can you repeat the question, please?
I will definitely do that.
Thank you.
That close to the heart of many Anglophones in Cameroon is the GCE board and the fight that went for the creation of the GCE board. It was formerly autonomous when it was created, but more recently, I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago, a presidential decree actually now considers the GCE board as a parastatal. Do you think the government of the Republic of Cameroon is doing anything to help the situation, given that part of the reasons that the protests initially started in October 2016 was as a result of the loss of the autonomy of the Anglophones to determine their own system of education?
No, definitely the government is not doing much to help the situation. There is a lot that the government can do to help this situation. They are not doing. Even taking away the autonomy of the GCE, I honestly don't know what they are thinking. They are not helping the situation at all. I give credit to that. I accept that. The government needs more to do more.
All right.
And they have not done anything, actually.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Of course, I've tried to employ more bilingual teachers, but employing more bilingual teachers with schools not going on doesn't help. So the government has to get into a discussion with the people and try to solve this problem. Kids need to go to school.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Cecilia, the next questions are for you. So this question says, what would you tell a 19 years old next year who was in Form 3 or Form 4 when this protest started? And by next year, he was supposed to be in finishing high school or at least in the university. Why you stand and it's practically stopping them from going to school? They are looking at their peers elsewhere. And like you rightly mentioned at the beginning, I think in your first comment, both of you actually talked about it. It is imperative. And the United Nations, one of the commissions actually says that even in war-torn countries, the education of the child is of cardinal significance. So what would you tell a 19 years old in 3 or 4 years time? Actually, it's 3 years already.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And I really thank whoever sent that question, because that is very important. It's a very important question. In a state of war, like we find ourselves, I want to be honest with the audience and with Ambazonians that when we are in a situation like this, we have to learn how to sacrifice. We have to learn how to sacrifice. I am sorry that this child was supposed to be in college next year and it's not in college. It's not going to be entering college and her friends are entering in colleges in other parts of the world. In situations like this, we have to sacrifice. And when he mentioned the aspect of the convention, the United Nations Convention on the Right of the Child, that even in war situation, we should give that room for schools to still go on. I also want to bring you back to that same convention, because that convention said the most 4 important inclusive elements of education is about adaptability, it's about accessibility, it's about availability, and it's about adaptability, availability, acceptability, and what is that? Yeah, acceptability, adaptability, availability. So these things have to be, a child cannot go to school if there is no school. A child cannot go and sit in the classroom when that child cannot even understand what the teacher is saying, because that child's mind is trying to focus on how the child is trying to think of how he can escape from a stray bullet, or is trying to think of how he's going home, or is even thinking of how she can be raped or pulled out of that room, of that classroom, and asked to crawl in mud and all those things. It is not about just thinking of I was supposed to be there next year. No, but what if you want to be there next year and you don't have the opportunity to be there next year because your life has been cut short prematurely? We have to sacrifice. Parents have to sacrifice. Countries that have been in war sacrifice. South Africans sacrifice. Even people always come and say, even when the Eritreans were fighting the Eritrean War of Independence, they had schools for children. No, it didn't just come at the beginning of the war. They had to sacrifice, keep their children safe. Then when they captured territory, that is when they started educating their children. Please, we have to know that your life is very important. Nobody is denying you your educational right. It is very important, but there is also something in the Convention of the Right of the Child, which is the cornerstone of that convention. It states very clearly that the interest of the child, yes, we can argue it on both sides. Keeping the child at home works against the interest of the child, but going to school and being safe, being at home and being alive is for the best interest of the child.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So I have a follow-up question to that. So this is actually coming. So those who advocate for no schools are mostly living abroad and are asking children at home back in Cameroon to sacrifice. So there are 2 parts to that question. What are they sacrificing? Secondly, actually 3 parts. The second part of the question is, are their own kids not going to school? And finally, the third part of the question is, and this I just read it from someone comment, they actually say that after staying home for a very long time, there is a decrease, and not going to school, there is decreased brain development. How do you reintegrate someone who was hypothetically, like our case of it, from 3 or from 4 years old, who comes back to school after not going to school in like 5 to 7 years time?
Thank you very much. And I will start with the last one and follow up.
Okay.
When we say children should not go back to school, we have not said children should stop learning. There is a difference between this. Going to school is not about learning, because you could still go and sit in that classroom and you will learn nothing. So schooling is not education or learning. That child can still be at home. That child was at school and was studying and is afraid that when he goes back, he will be unable to catch up and things like that. We have not said stay at home and stop studying. You can still study at home. That is why we say there is home education. We have children who have learned different type of trades during this period. That is empowering them. It's empowering them because tomorrow they will become entrepreneurs. They will be self-reliant in the society. They can make a living for themselves. And there are people who go in those classrooms, come out with certificate degrees, and they are unable to get a job that pays them 20,000 pounds a year, a month. So it is, when we say children should not go back, we should sacrifice. It doesn't necessarily mean that children should completely stop studying or learning. No, they should study at home. We have home education. We have teachers in different communities that could bring children, that could, these children could learn from. They have their books at home that they could study from. They have internet that they follow, they could study online. I don't want to use internet because not everybody have the access to internet and all those things. Yes. So I don't want somebody to come and ask me what about those who don't have access to internet. That was just
do that. I was going to do that. Okay.
Yes. So yes, and for those who say that those we are sitting abroad and we are saying that children should not go back to school, we have to understand that everybody cannot be at the same place at the same time. That is the honest truth. They are at home. Yes. Nobody abroad, no teacher abroad went and hit the street in the first place to tell the government that the educational system was having problems. We came in and supported them because we saw their genuine concerns, and we also know exactly what they were going through. And beside that, if any child is here, if my child is back at home, I will also tell that child not to go to school. It's not like I want to discriminate and ask you to not to go to school while my own child is going to school. No, that is not what it is. It just happens that you are in that situation right now, and I'm not in that situation for the time being. But we are all sacrificing because we are all together in this. We don't just say sacrifice, we are also helping you in one way or the other. So let us not keep saying that your children are going to school and all those things. Even the other countries that had war, not everybody was in the country at the time of the war, when the war was fought. People will always be different in different places.
Okay, great. Thank you very, very much for your response. So I asked Mbole 2.5 questions. I'm going to ask you another question as well, so that we don't have any complaint of time. So this question is for you, Cecilia, that before the protest started, there were a lot of parent-teachers, teachers. So those teachers who are being paid by the Parent-Teachers Association. So this was of significant economic significance to them, because that is how they were earning their living. And now, since you advocate, so there are actually two parts to this question. So since you advocate for no school, it means these people who were initially earning their life, making their living through teaching, no longer have, cannot survive. How do you expect them to survive for the entire duration of the protest, given that we don't even know when this will stop, and they probably have children? So you can answer that one, and I will ask you the second part of the question.
Great. That is a problem we're talking about. That is, you don't just have to be a teacher, a parent teacher, and you have nothing else to do with your life. That is what we are talking about, an educational system that will make you to be self-reliant, so that when this is not working, you're able to do another thing for it to work. He's not the only one sacrificing. Don't forget that businesses are shut down in the country. Businesses are shut down. He is suffering, a trader is suffering, any other person is suffering. So he's not the only person that is going through that. But that notwithstanding, we are saying that you cannot depend your entire life on PTA money that parents give to you. How much do parents give to you? As a person, you are supposed to have skills of your own. That is why we are encouraging a new educational system that will build our people to be able to stand out there and fend for themselves when situations like this come up. You cannot just depend on, I am a teacher, I depend on parents to survive. No, you cannot live like that. You have to be able to do other things that will earn you a living. What if Parents Teachers Association suddenly is closed today? Will your life come to an end? You have to do something. Ambazonians, men and women, are not known to be lazy people. You cannot sit and depend on a salary from a PTA to survive. That is not possible. I don't think that is even feasible. No. How much is it?
All right, thank you very much. So the next question is again about the economy. Some parents complain that Now that during this period of no school, most of their children stay at home and consume, they eat a lot of food. This is having significant economic impact to the families. And given that, like we just discussed in the initial point, some of these parents have also lost their jobs, coupled with a little or no agriculture taking place as a result of the war. What do you have to tell some of these parents? How can would they survive economically? Because like even some of those parents who used to sell food in schools, for example, whose business depended on schools, they no longer have the business is shut down. And you mentioned about doing businesses. So what do you have to tell these parents?
Well, I am sorry to hear that some parents are now complaining that their children eat a lot. It's unfortunate because nobody can, God cannot give you a burden that you cannot carry. If you had 10 of us, that is because you believe that you will be able to take care of us, irrespective of what. So you cannot depend on schools to be the only means through which you can feed us. Yeah, that is also, of course, that is true. And that is the reason why we also, those of us in the diaspora also have a very pivotal role to play in when it comes to taking care of our people back at home. They are currently in a situation that they didn't invite upon themselves. And it is our duty and our responsibility to make sure that we keep helping our parents, not just those that gave birth to you, but to be able to be of service to your entire community and all that. And that said, I will also think that parents, no, I cannot think that a parent will really lack a means to feed his or her child. Honestly speaking, as parents in where we come from, they always have a way to do something. And I believe that even if they were doing business at school and it's no more working, they could still do it elsewhere. They could still cook this food and sell elsewhere. Ambazonia is not completely shut down. We are not. We cannot just say cars are not moving, markets are not opening. No, they have days that these things don't work, and they have other days that these things do.
Okay.
Normal day-to-day
Yeah.
transactions.
All right. Thank you very much
Let
for
us make use of those days that are workable to do something for the other day.
Yeah. We'll take a short break, and the next portion of the program will be taking questions from the audience. Unless Mbole, if you have do you have something to say before we take the little break?
No, let's go for a break.
Okay, great. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back in the next few minutes.
Are we back?
Yes, we are. So I'm right back.
Perfect.
I'm sorry it took a bit long, and thank you very, very much for your patience. I needed to drink some water. Okay, so we have a few questions from the audience, and it seems as if most of the questions they had, I had already asked you guys. But Mbole, there is a question for you. So the question says, like, you are advocating for schools to resume in the Southwest and Northwest regions. So some parents have already sent their kids to the schools in the French-speaking part of the country. How do you expect the kids in the Southwest and Northwest to catch up with them?
That should be a question that should be asked to the person who's advocating for kids to not go to school. Because if they didn't advocate for kids to not go to school, they won't have that problem of catching up.
But now the question of the debate is, and you want schools to resume.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you were asked to draw a curriculum or to do something to improve their education, how do you what would you do for these kids to catch up with their peers in the other part of the country?
Well, I honestly am not in the right position to answer that question because I'm not an educationist. I will leave the educationist to build the curriculum. Okay. That's not my area of expertise.
Okay. Okay.
You see that question, she just said the same thing. Like she said, even Cecilia is unable to tell all the time frame that that a curriculum is being built. That is to tell you that you are not an educationalist, and I'm also not an answer the people that we have 2 months when I don't even know because I'm not in the committee.
Yeah, I'm not.
I totally agree with that, and that is why I have to ask the questions. And you responded. I didn't go any further. And like I asked Mbole, she didn't. She gave her response. I'm moving on. When I asked you a question, you told me it's in the special committee. We moved on. Yeah. Okay. So apparently, most of the questions we had that I had from the audience. Received from the audience, I had already exhausted them in the debate. So, okay, apart from someone who asked a question, and that was for you, to you, Cecilia, about the advocacy of the no school and the increased number of teenage pregnancies. And that was a fair, what would you say with respect to that? And then another point was, you also mentioned that children are studying at home. So what books are they using? Are they not the same books that they were supposed to be studying in the same schools that you said education is standard?
Okay, great. I'll go with the first one that talked about teenage pregnancy.
Yeah.
Yes. That is true. We've heard cases of teenage pregnancy, and the fact that the child is not in school is not a prerequisite for parents to allow the child loose. Parents have the responsibility to be able to educate their children on these things. It's not like even a child who is in school does not guarantee that child from being pregnant. We have these instances every day. We have them every day. You see, even children die in school because they got pregnant and they were trying to commit abortion. So in this way, what can we say? We can only tell parents that at this point in time, keep your child busy at home. Let them learn a trade at home. We have seen instances where these students from the dormitory, they're learning how to sew, they're learning how to do hair, when the child is busy with something at home, engage them with the house chores, and they will be able, they'll be active, and they will not just be loose in the neighborhood. So these are things that will definitely happen, but it is now the responsibility of the parents to be able to take care of their kids. they should know that the kids are now at home. It's no longer like they're in school where they will always allow the principals to be the ones to take care of their children. They are now at home. They should be able to do that job for the principal.
Can I ask an additional? The point.
Can I say something?
No, Bole, just one second. The point the person is making is some of the education some of what you learn in school, like
that was the second part. That is the second part. Yeah, you're right. The books that they are learning.
Before that part, with respect to the first part. So some of the education which is acquired from in school is things like understanding the menstrual cycle, that is acquired in school. And the parents, some of the parents, I know majority of them cannot educate their children in this. So how do you expect that their parents will educate the child when they barely understand some of these cycles? For example, they need education.
Well, that's true. We have not said that children, like I said before, we are not against education. Please, this should be very clear. We are not against education. We are only saying that at this point in time, it is not safe for the child to go and sit in the classroom. Children, we have peer groups where we share ideas and we learn from each other. A lot of things happen if the father does not know or the mother does not know how to teach the child the menstrual cycle. The elder sister is there, the auntie is there, the father does that. This is no longer those days when a father will not be able to sit her child down and talk to her about sex education. No, we are no longer in that era. So we cannot say that when a mother doesn't know, it doesn't mean that the father also will not know. Even if both don't know, we have elder sisters in the home that we learn from. We have cousins and all those people that we learn from. The only thing you need to do is confide in them, talk to them, and they will educate you on these things. We have our friends, we have peer groups that we learn from each other. So it shouldn't boil down to your mother or just your mother or your father. You have aunties who can talk to you about these things, who can educate you on these things. And so let us not limit it.
Yeah, you basically said the parents, so I barely gave you what you answered your question. I didn't limit it, I used your words, but thank you for the clarification.
Can I say something?
Yes, please, you can.
I am truly, really, deeply disappointed, Cecilia, that you're putting this on the parents. Honestly, we have an interim government that is asking children not to go to school, and then we are putting the responsibility on the parents. Let's take the responsibility. If we don't want children to go to school, let's put structures for these children to get the home education. It's not on the parents. The parents didn't ask their children to stay at home. The parents didn't ask their children to stay, not to go to school. The interim government asked the children not to go to school. Let the interim government put structures there to help these children get an education. We live in a society where we have, some parents are very strict. They do not let their children go out. The only time these children can go out is when they're going to school. And that is why I said in the beginning, going to school is not only about going to learn to read and write. It's about building social competencies. And we are killing that. So don't put it on the parents. Let's take responsibility.
No.
Okay, great.
I will answer to that, Dr. Terence, before we move. Okay. I am sorry you feel disappointed, but I am even getting more disappointing because you think that the interim government, as you put it, like I'll tell you, I really would not want to talk for the interim government, but I am telling you because it's a group. I am telling you that where do you want them to put those structures? You put structure. That is the problem. Is not structure. I am pleading with you. The problem is not structures because there are parents, there are people who will still sacrifice their homes for children to go there and study. It is not about the building and the structures. It is about being in that place and being safe. It is about the security in that place. We are not against education. Even if we be up a hosted, I don't know, 100 classroom structure here, that doesn't solve the problem in Ambazonia now. That is not the problem. It is not about the structure or the building. It is about the security of the children. If they go into those structures you're asking the interim government to build, and they still come and kidnap them, they still shoot and kill at them, how does that help the parent?
It doesn't help the
parent.
Okay, great.
I'm not talking about structures as in buildings. I'm talking about structures, like you said, about peer learning. Make an environment that the children will meet as peers. Don't put it on the parents.
Okay, great.
No, it is
you
blame teenage pregnancy on the parents. How could you blame the teenage pregnancy on the parents?
No, ladies, we have to.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's take responsibility, honestly.
We've gathered the
we make decisions that have consequences, and we should stand on those consequences. This is a good thing for you to take back to your group and tell them to start looking at those problems and try to find ways to solve them.
Bole, you are a mother, and I am happy that you are a mother. And let me tell you, the primary responsibility for every child's upbringing is coming from their parents. That is why the mother, the father are the primary caregivers of every home, of every child. So you cannot say that they should take away the responsibility from the parents. No, that is completely wrong. You cannot, we cannot, peers review, you are talking about the environment for peer review. Are we still talking about the environment? Isn't the environment the problem why we are saying that children should not go to school? Isn't it because if these children gather to go to a particular structure to sit there and talk among themselves, they can be attacked? That is what we are talking about. We are not saying parents have a responsibility over their children. You cannot take that away from them. That is an honest truth.
Okay, great. Okay,
how many hours?
Yeah, Mbole, I have the next question for you.
Just one question, please.
No, we have to move on.
Yes, I know. Just one statement.
No, we have to really move on.
Please. Just a day has 24 hours. In 24 hours, we are awake, let's say between 7 and so let's give it like 12, at most 14 hours. How many hours do children spend in school, and how many hours do children spend with their parents at home? The school has a lot to do with the development and upbringing of a child. Believe you me,
okay, great.
More than even the parents.
Mbole, you've made your point. So the next question is
that parents now send their children away from school, from home, just because they don't want to take responsibility. That's not what education should be about.
For you, and Cecilia, I also have one question for you after. So Mbole, this is for you. Someone asked that you're advocating for schools to resume in the Southwest province when bullets are flying here and there, and the insecurity is at its apex. So how would you ensure that happens?
How will I ensure what happens?
Yeah, that schools resume in the state of total insecurity. Like in a village, for example, in a village like Kajifu is practically a military camp. Everyone is deserted. How can schools go on in such a place?
Well, that is where the government, it's the government and the rebels. I don't know if I'll call, and the Amber Boys that needs to ensure that these children, that it is a safe environment for them. They are the two people fighting.
Okay, great. Oh, Cecilia, I have a question for you as well. Someone asked a question that before everything went loose after October 2017, the Ambazonians the Ambazonians were those propagating and threatening children from not going to school. So apparently, according to this individual, they believe that the parents and the children want to go to school, except for the fact that they are being threatened, and it's not by the military. So what do you have to say with respect to that question?
Okay, great. Amber Boys are not threatening children not to go to school the way that person is trying to put it. Amber Boys are the ones that provide them with security. And Amber Boys are saying that at this point in time, We have an enemy that we are focusing on, that we are focusing to fight out of the country. We don't have that manpower yet to be able to defend you while you're sitting in the classroom and also fighting the enemy at the same time. That is the message that the Amber Boys are sending to students, to parents, or to institutions, that your security, if you're going there, it is at your own risk. We cannot provide you with the maximum security that you will need to sit and study conveniently. We have an enemy we are fighting. We cannot be fighting them, struggling to survive and also struggling to protect you from the same people. So it is not like Amber Boys will go out there and they are threatening students not to go to school. Or there was a time, let's be honest with ourselves, there was a time when we, during the ghost towns and all this period, we said children should not go back to school. Yes, it is true, because during that period, you could also see how university students were pulled out of their homes, asked to crawl in mud in Boya. They were forced to, they were raped and all those things. So people said children should not go back to school because of all these incidences that were happening. You cannot be in school and you are not even safe, because the people that are supposed to protect you are the same people that are hurting you, that are attacking you. So these were the reasons why we're giving parents for children not to go to school.
Okay,
Security
great.
has been our primary objective.
Okay, great. Thank you very, very much. So we've finished the second part of the debate, and the last part of the debate is very, very important to us as well as to most of our viewers out there. It is a part that we call on the two contestants or debaters to propose solutions for schools to resume. You can. So I'm going to start with Mbole. This part, you guys have as much time as you want. I don't want you guys going against each other, because this is the time. I think every solution is a good solution, whether it's proposed by whoever. If it's going to help for schools to resume, or for our children back home to get a very good education, that will be helpful. So maybe since Cecilia just stopped speaking, I should ask Mbole that question. Mbole should probably start by proposing her own solution before I come back to you, Cecilia.
Okay. As for the solutions, I think the first solution for children to go back to school is, first of all, for the interim government to call back their call for no schools. That is the first thing. They should let children go to school. There should be a call out there that says, okay, it is fine for children to return to school. When that call is made, then we can start seeing about putting protective measures on how we can protect children in schools. First, the government, of course, needs to play its own part. The government needs to dialogue. The government needs to finally sit down with all parties to find a solution to the problem that's going on in the Northwest and Southwest regions. If the interim government doesn't call for schools, the government also still have the responsibility to make schools a safe place for children and to protect the children for those who want to go to school. The government can, well, I know the Cameroon government is a signatory to the Safe School Declaration of the Human Rights Watch, which declares that schools should be made a safe place even during wars. So the government needs to keep to that commitment. Now, how do they do that? Not every place in the Northwest and Southwest region is threatened or insecure. So they can make mobile schools. They can take schools to those places that are secured. Look at the recruitment or the enlistment for the military. What did the government do? They saw that the Southwest and Northwest are not safe, so they are enlisting soldiers from the Southwest. They have to go and do it in Douala, and I think from the Northwest they have to go and do it in Bafoussam. So during the elections, we saw the Prime Minister didn't vote in his village. He went to vote, I think, in Bamenda, where it was a bit safe. So the government could do this. They could make mobile schools in places that are safer for kids to go to school. Now, on the other side, the society or the individual, I'll call it quartiers as we call, we can make our own peacekeeping forces. We can sensitize children on how to be able to know when there's danger and report danger. We have our phones, we have SMSs. If we could, right, if we could mobilize and sensitize thousands of children on October 1st to go out on the street with SMSs, we can also teach children and sensitize them how to use these SMSs in times of danger, meaning we can still organize micro school systems in our small communities and then sensitize them how to report danger if there is danger. We can also, like I said, organize armed forces, intercartier security forces that would see that these children go to school. But above all, the main thing, call off.
I can come back to you, Mbole, because this is a solution part of it, and it's very important to all. So I'll go to Cecilia, and if you have some more solutions to add, you can add them after she speaks. So, Cecilia, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Terence. In respect to the schools in Ambazonia, I will propose that for the time being, we can only exercise a little bit of patience, in the sense that we already have identified that we want to build a society where people could come out and be of great service to the nation, who can build an economy that will stand out to the world for others to see. People who can really come out and be self-reliant, and people who can really come out and be entrepreneurial in different domains of the society. And we cannot have this type of people with the current educational system that is being offered to Southern Cameroonians children. You can only bring out what you have been taught. So I can only say that let us exercise a little bit of patience, not completely cutting education off, but we can also encourage community development, community teachers, because I have been in Ghana and I know this aspect of community teachers. So we have places like Mbole was saying, if there are places that are really safe, we are already, I know for sure, I can tell you that I know for sure that Dr. Liz has already prepared an educational curriculum for Ambazonia. We can start teaching these children with the basics for the time being, while we make sure that we we take out La Republique from Ambazonia and we rebuild our system. We rebuild our educational system. So for those children who are in the bushes, we are encouraging those teachers, because when this war came, when homes were raised, they didn't just come to raise down the homes of people. The teachers' homes were also raised down, so they are all in the bushes and all this. So we are encouraging them that if they have that opportunity and they see where it's safe, they should just keep teaching the children basic knowledge without necessarily tying it to any educational curriculum. Basic knowledge that will keep these children alive, that will keep their memories active and all these things. They're in the bushes. They should use that opportunity to teach children natural science. They should do these things. We have a lot of them in the bushes that can do this thing. And again, a solution will be that let Ambazonians rise up and make sure that the enemies is chased out of the country. They rebuild their country, they rebuild their educational system and give the best form of education they want to give to the Ambazonian children. When we are talking about education and we bring in the issue of the United Nations Convention on the Right of the Child, you will also see that with the General Comment number 13, we have issues like the most important things in that a state must do is provide accessibility for education, adaptability, and acceptability, and also availability. This is what Ambazonia, the future Ambazonia, is looking at, to make sure that all these components are provided for the children of Ambazonia. So for us to have that, it will be when we introduce a completely new educational system for our people, where children can study and come out and be people, not just people with certificates, but people who can develop the economy and cause it to strive. We shouldn't just talk about having certificates. That is what we've been having all our lives, certificates with nothing to show for. So let us get these people out of our territory. Once we have a place that is conducive for children to sit and study, we give them the opportunity to study. And finally, let us get them out of our territory, rebuild our country, rebuild our educational system.
I think you said
important. Sorry?
Yeah, I think you said about getting out of the country and rebuilding the territory like 4 times. So I think we probably heard that.
Okay, great. Then there will be no need for a 5th time.
Yeah. Mbole, do you have anything to add? Any more solutions?
No.
Okay, great. So thank you very, very much to everyone. Thank you, ladies. This was a very exciting, and I'm sure the people watching the debate may have learned a thing or two and have their opinion. So we'll be back here in 2 weeks' time. This time around, not about education. It will mostly be about football or soccer, as they call it in North America. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I very much appreciate it. Yes. Oh, sorry about that. I sincerely apologize. So, ladies and gentlemen, before you leave, I will have to let our 2 guests give their last words. Sorry about that. I'm getting a call. So, Cecilia, let me start with you. Can you give your last word?
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for the opportunity again. What can I say? I just want to encourage every mother back at home that is facing, all those back at home, not just the mothers, but everybody back at home that is facing this very horrific period in Ambazonia, those that have lost their children, to be encouraged. We stand with them, and we feel their pain as well. And I also just I don't really have much to say. I just want to thank Mbole for being on board with me on this very important topic, and let our people know that nobody is against education. We all cherish education, and we want to be able to have that level of that type of education that will empower us to become people, not just getting certificates and come out and unable to even state what we are carrying in our hands. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Cecilia. Thank you for being a very constant guest on our show. We very much appreciate all your efforts and preparations before each debate. So thanks again once more. So Mbole, your last word, please.
Yes, thank you, Terence. Thank you, Cecilia. It's been quite entertaining. Thank you very much. I just want to insist on the fact that our kids need to go back to school. No matter what the quality of the education is right now, it could be improved, but let them start from what they have. Half education is better than non-education. We don't want an illiterate society. Now, my dear colleague Cecilia keeps saying that you have to make sacrifices, but the burden of sacrifice in these 2.5 years has laid solely on the shoulders of children. Now, asking children to sacrifice for adults, to me, it's cowardice. Let's stop using children as pawns to our games of throne. Let the kids go back to school. If we don't want these children, look, our school systems are micro system of resistance. The Northwest and Southwest had always learned how to resist the La Republique in our little daily actions. That mama who is teaching Sunday school every Monday or Sunday and Wednesday in spite of the war. That is resistance. That carpenter who is teaching apprenticeship for all the displaced children, that is resistance. So if we don't want schools to open for any reason, let's at least just let this school go on so that children should learn their own micro system of resistance. Going to school already with all the problems that we have in our education and the La Republic government is resistance. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very, very much, ladies. And this was the debate actually met and exceeded its expectations. So thank you, ladies. I would have to say here that I hope you guys, the audience, have learned a thing or two from our two very able speakers. My personal view is that both Ambazonia and the government should ensure that schools start like yesterday, as soon as possible. We know they are working for a curriculum in Ambazonia, like one of our guests said. We know that of the Cameroon government is not the best, but we still believe getting an education is better than an illiterate society. So thank you very, very much, and we will be back in 2 weeks' time on the big debate. We very much appreciate your patience. And finally, I would like to thank all those who respected our rules of no insults. For those who have made it as a responsibility to insult people in public with pseudonyms, keep on doing that. Goodbye and have a good evening.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you so much.